Good evening and welcome to Point Blank here at KTN News. As we approach this new year of 2020, education is at the center of everybody's minds. As our children go to school, what has been going on in the education sector? There has been so much confusion.
The sight of young primary school children walking to school with a backpack heavily laden, not with a 10 o'clock snack or a lunch pack, nor the sports activity clothes and sneakers, but with textbooks. Textbooks that are so many, weigh so heavily, and are morbidly priced. It is no wonder their shoulders are stooped as they make their way to school. To classrooms more often poorly built, that are more than filled to capacity, pupils struggling to listen to the words of teachers who are overfraught, underpaid. The current pupil-teacher ratio in public primary schools is 56:1 against the recommended 40:1. Secondary school dynamics are even gloomier, even with the advent of free secondary education. Teenagers carrying loaded rectangular metallic boxes containing the prerequisite 2, sometimes 3-page lists of goods, queuing for public transport. Their dorms filled to the rafters with hardly any space between the bunkers to move around, much less store their belongings. And their desks in the classrooms even closer to the next student, and teachers even more hurried than those they met up with in primary school. Here, the student-teacher ratio stands at 41:1. At what should be their moment of awakening should they receive the golden ticket to university? Rooms built for 2, house 6 at least. The boom that should cater for books and supplies comes late and is not enough. The tutorial rooms turned to plenary halls that require the lecturer to speak at the top of their voice and hope the students have caught their lesson. Is it thus not surprising the high level of teachers' strikes and student unrest? More importantly, why is there surprise and uproar when it was revealed that KCPE and KCSE test papers were bought by parents for their children so as to get them via test scores into better schools that had the list of these aforementioned previls? Will the new ambitious curriculum 2663 system replacing the current 844 take care of Kenya's new decade of school-going children's mental and physical wellness being?
To get all these matters sorted out, KTN looked and got the right man for the job. Wallen Nyamota is the head teacher at Braeside Schools. And before I talk to Mwalimu, what has he done before?
Wallen Nyamota is the head teacher of the Braeside School campus in Nairobi. Managing all the academic and pastoral programs, Nyamota provides leadership and support to all students and parents, as well as the teaching and non-teaching members of staff. Born and brought up in Kericho County, Nyamota found his calling early and dedicated himself to serving and helping young people, first at Kabokiek Adventist Secondary School in Kericho, and then the Nyakenyo Secondary School in Trans Nzoia. His service quest would see him venture south of Kenya's border, where he took up the position of head of boarding at the Arusha Modern School between 2003 and 2005. Nyamota was then recruited by the Braeside Schools for their new Arusha campus in 2005. He would serve as the deputy head of academics from 2009, where he was tasked to improve students' performance and provide advice to the management team on achieving students as well as teachers' laid out goals. The mathematics and students teacher continued to catch the attention of the Braeside Schools board, and in 2014, Nyamota was elevated to the head teacher position in the high school section of the Braeside campus in Nairobi. Considered by his colleagues and students as a strong leader and team player, the holder of a bachelor's degree in science from the Moi University and a second degree in philosophy from the Kenyatta University is the current chair of the British Curriculum Schools of Kenya, as well as trustee and board member of the East African Model United Nations. Nyamota is married to Evelyn Nyasani, with whom he has 3 children, Calvin, Cosby, and Joy Omwega.
Mwalimu, karibu sana to KTN News and welcome to Point Blank.
Thank you.
Yes, and belated Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you too.
Mwalimu, let us start at where you see the educational system from a bird's eye view. The transition ordered by the government through the cabinet secretary of a change from 844 system. What does that mean? Most ordinary Kenyans are yet to come to grasps with what are these two new systems. What is the transition and what are they?
The transition at the moment from 844 to 263 and 3, for me, is a very good move by the government. When you look at the strategic plan for 2018-2022, the Minister for Education and the stakeholders have put together a document which can be able to guide us through on what we need to achieve by changing the system from 844 to 263 and 3. To be honest, when I look at it as a person, as a teacher, and as a teacher and a profession, I can tell you it's a very good move and which requires all of us to support that system.
So Mwalimu, from a layman's view,
yes,
the 844 system was meant to be 8 years of primary school,
yes,
4 years of secondary school,
yes,
and 4 years of university.
yes.
This new system, how is it different and what is the spread?
The spread is the 2 years of pre-primary education. We have 6 years in the primary education. We have something they have introduced in between here, we call 3 years of middle school. This is basically lower secondary school. Then we have 3 years of what you call the upper school or the upper secondary school. And when you look at it, the way it's been spread, if you track the progress of that child all through, you will find that kids or children by the end of the system would have achieved what's supposed to be achieved through the competences of what the minister has put together.
From a practitioner
Yes.
who is a teacher, has government gone about this the right way in explaining? I'm thinking about the communication strategy in terms of, do you feel that parents, students, schools themselves, are people ready? Is there been proper awareness? Or
To be honest, personally, I can tell you that whoever sat down and put the document together, whoever sat down and thought of changing the curriculum did a very good thing. But the problem is the people down there on the ground have no idea of what this good system entails. The competencies they're talking about in terms of communication, they're talking about competence to do with citizenship and the like, very good things which have been put together. But down there as a parent, I don't think the village parent down there understands what this is all about. And therefore, what they're feeding is how to put that information to the right people.
So what would be your message to the government who are listening to you now? What would be your message to the ministry? Should teachers and headmasters, head teachers be better equipped? How do we decimate the awareness?
They have started the program of training teachers, a very good program of training teachers, doing workshops for the teachers. And I think the first people, or that the first target population to understand this should be the teachers, once they understand. But I also believe that the parents, who are the stakeholders, and the students should be able to understand what it entails. That they must break it down to a level whereby a parent understands, talk about competence-based curriculum. What does it mean to that kind of parent? What does it mean to the child? And what does the child expect by the end of the day in terms of the outcome? Therefore, the teachers could be understanding what it is, but I think the only challenge is the implementation, the process.
Now, you raise a good question. When you talk about implementation, I would like to divide it into 3 areas. Yes. First of all, it is the material.
Exactly.
That you create the material, what we call syllabus,
yes,
to fit in the curriculum. Yes. That because of this new system, people must actually put pen to paper to create the books, the textbooks, etc. And as you say, there is awareness of teaching. Then there is that part of the teaching and the last part of examination. What is the readiness? As we start, now parents are in schools. Are they bookshops, buying books? Are there books? Are the teachers who are opening classes today? Is this transition, where are we in readiness?
I feel that we're ready, we are not ready. That's how I can be able to put it. We are ready, we are not ready. In terms of resources, I think we haven't done enough research on the kind of resources our kids are supposed to be using, especially textbooks. All these authors who write in these textbooks, did they sit down and understand the curriculum before they wrote the textbooks? And what they want to achieve by the end of the day. I feel that there's issues of money. People want to make money out of this, but strictly speaking, I feel that people or teachers and professionals should be more involved, especially in coming up with textbooks that are supposed to be used in our schools.
You know, Mwalimu, this is point blank.
Yes.
And in point blank, you have to be specific.
Yes.
Are you saying that the government unleashed, a change without proper transitioning? Are you saying that the minister has, if you like, lack of a better word, rushed the process?
I feel so. I feel it was rushed because we talk about grade 4 books for next year. When were they written? Who has revised those textbooks for us to start implementing or start selling them in bookshops? Who has gone through all that? I mean, the stakeholders, in terms of the parents, the teachers, have not been involved. And I feel that they kind of rushed, and therefore they need to take a break, continue implementing the process, but take a break in terms of resources supposed to be used by these students. I feel that the resources are not yet ready.
So, Mwalimu, you as teachers,
Yeah.
what are the organizations that are available? Is it through associations? I know there are some parent associations. Teachers have got the umbrella, the government side have got NAT, etc. Are there forums where teachers sit and talk about these things so that you can almost approach government with matters? Or do you find that the teachers are, the head teachers particularly, or teachers in general, that there is a lack of collective voice or that can be able to address in a more meaningful way the things you're saying?
I feel we have the AIDS Association. If that forum is well utilized, it becomes a forum for addressing matters of education and curriculum, I think they're a better place to discuss that.
So if you are talking to them now,
Yes.
and they are watching Point Blank,
Yes.
your fellow colleagues of the Heads Association, what would you be telling them to be taken as a priority right now? Where we are, and first of all, you're talking about the textbooks and the quality, the revisions of, the teaching material. The other thing you were saying was training. Yeah. What are the 3-4 issues that the association should take up with the CS education?
First of all, it's actually every school should have somebody who understands this system. Therefore, they should be able to train. People can be able to lead other teachers in schools. For example, their teacher can't do everything. It's matter of administration, matters of finance, is doing this, buying this for students. But I can tell you that if they train other teachers in terms of heads of department, train teachers in terms of deputy heads, academics who can be able to run these programs, therefore the first thing they need to do is actually to train for the teachers and the stakeholders to understand what this curriculum entails.
Now, if we then accept that that challenge is met,
Yes.
I come to the other issue that has been dogging Kenyan education for long,
Yes.
examination. So that we are moving from a system where there was so much kelele about the examination results, cheating, stealing, etc. Now there is this new system where you're saying the materials are yet to be finalized or improved or revised. And teachers are yet to know fully how to implement what they are doing, good as it is a system. What about then the examiners of the system? Is this going to bring challenges to the already problematic?
I know, if you look at this, 844 was more summative assessments, which were more of exams. By the end of the day, you judge a student's success and the progress and the performance through the end of, say, Form 4 examinations. But to talk about a system which has been put in now, the curriculum currently coming in, where we're going to emphasize more on formative assessment. You can be able to track the progress of a child as it starts to grow from down there. And therefore, you can progressively look at the performance of that child. And therefore, you cannot be able to judge that student in terms of skills based on the end results. And by the end of the middle school, this child could have noticed or could have found out where the passion is. Do I want to go to STEM, whereby we emphasize on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics? Do I want to go to social sciences, where we're going to have our lawyers and the kind? Do I have to go to sports and other creative subjects? Therefore, that child could have been prepared without examinations. If you look at the assessments we talk about today, and it's going to be a very difficult thing for the parents to understand. One thing is you're saying a child has met this security, has exceeded these expectations. No, that's going to be no A, B, and C, what we used in terms of exams. Therefore, as teacher is supposed to know that for this child to communicate effectively, he has met these
It's called the continuous assessment test system.
Yes.
So parents need to know that every term, you carry forward from beginning of term to end of term, end of year.
And not even end of year. I can tell you that that child's information will be tracked. That's what we call tracking. You track the child's progress from the time he enters school. Even if he changes school, he can be able to go to another school and still move on with the original, or rather the earlier assessments which have been done from previous schools.
So in terms of the examination, I take you back there. Yeah. It is good that you're saying this is continuous. Yeah. So are you saying the traditional unagoja, exam at the end of term, end of year? How will this be? The way we know, the end of standard 8, a major national exam. End of Form 4, major national. So for parents, the minds,
and I think, Tony, this is all we need to address. That for us to prepare the parents in terms of what we expect at the end of the day, in terms of assessments, in terms of a child making progress, in terms of identifying what are the skills this child has. Because we've been assessing these students through examinations. Yes, a child is a musician. It's not going to be a mathematics student. It's not going to be an engineer. But you examine an engineer the same way you examine a what? A musician.
I have to ask you.
So I'm saying these exams, by the end of the day, we don't wish away examinations. But I can tell you that the continuous process, for me, is better off than the end of the exam.
Something worries me because talking to you, it's clearer to me now. But it has not been clearer as the ministry, rolled out this issue.
Yes.
And it brings me back to this idea of who's in charge of education in Kenya. Have we been making a mistake, Mwalimu, by appointing cabinet secretaries who are not teachers? Have we made a mistake of not bringing teachers at the core in decision making so that these matters would have been rolled out from the eye or from the viewpoint of a teacher?
I've never been to the Ministry of Education, but I want to believe that the CS for Education is somebody who's supposed to be overseeing policies. And I want to believe that down there, within the ministry, could be having these professionals who have this mindset, who can be able to come with these policies before the minister says implement this. We have these people supposed to be coming up with policies, the curriculum from KICD and the like, and therefore this is where the teachers are supposed to be more involved, not necessarily up there as the Minister for Education.
So if the president was watching you today, and the people that make these decisions at a policy level, to improve a good idea, if you say the 2633 is a good idea, would you advise that teachers who are retired or experienced or available in this, kind of area should be more involved, so that, instead of working down, up, down, you work simultaneously, vertically.
I mean, that's right. That's every stakeholder in the Ministry of Education, or in the education sector be involved. Involve the teachers. They're making noise because they feel they're left out in the process of, and there are the people going to implement this process. There are people going to implement this curriculum, and you're not involving them in coming up with these policies. A very good document. We've all started with it down and came up with a document, a very good document, Tony. And I can tell you that if now it goes down, trickles down for the teachers who are supposed to be implementing this to understand what it entails, this country can move forward in terms of education.
So, Wallen Nyamota, I wanted to ask you, in terms of the new curriculum, how much time is a student in the classroom now? Is there going to be space for extracurricular activities? As you see a transitional in the system, there has always been that the 844 system was always, blamed as overworking the child, mtoto halali, mtoto achezi, mtoto sayote kwa kitabu. System mpya ile inakuja ya 2633 inapatia mtoto na nafasi ya kuwa mtoto.
I can tell you for sure, yes. If this is given chance, as our kids in this country will be children, there will be kids from art, there will be kids or children from the way they express themselves, because we're not going to focus on matters of exams now. Therefore, I feel that they have more time to experience and attain or acquire these other skills, be it in the field of sports, be it swimming, be it music, such a kind of things. So we need more time, not necessarily in the classroom teaching maths and science, but at a time for this child who doesn't understand the maths, but can be able to do for you a nice piece of music. This child can be able to be out there and be a good swimmer, and resources are given and encourage that student to pursue the talent they have. And therefore, this system, if well implemented, we are going to have a variety of these students in the country.
Mwalimu, how will be the end product of this affect higher education? As we know it now, every parent, including my father, alikuwa anajua as a child lazima uje na degree. Ukipata degree sasa wewe, because the question I'm asking is that after this process, will higher education change? Will there be more polytechnics? Will be there more, practical skills institutions? How do you see this in 10 years? With this change of system, are we going to see higher education change from, this elegant, just the only function is PhD or degree? Will this change?
I'm not a believer that a successful student should be able to have a degree. I believe that you can be able to have a pathway to a different way. For example, end up in a diploma. Remember the Kenya polytechnics of those days. And look at the civil engineers from those days who came from Kenya polytechnics. If you go to the field, they are very practical as compared to an engineer who came out from the university with a degree, because this is more practical. And we talk about practical teaching of these students for them to have hands-on. You know what I mean, yeah? And therefore, I believe that there must be a change in the university, the way we want to look at things later on. In the future of tertiary education, we should be able to have more of these polytechnics, more of these technical vocational institutions.
I'm asking that because in the entrance to, if you want to enter a good university like Strathmore,
yes,
we were talking about this with you.
Yes.
Your son, my son, is going to require to have 2 A's and a B.
Yes.
To be, admitted to Strathmore. That is under the current system of admission to universities. And I know Strathmore is a private university. But will this change of system be saying that, how are you admitted? Is it, if you are going through a continuous process, will it end up in a B+ or a C or an A, as we know it now? Or will that change in university admissions?
They might not change as much, I can tell you, depending on what you want to pursue. They're going to put a criteria, I'm sure, for you to be admitted to go do engineering, for you to go do business, you must have gotten this subject for you to be admitted, and you have the final exam you've done, and you can be able to be admitted according to the performance.
So even this new system will have a final examination
at the end
at the end of higher education,
yes,
for those who want university admission.
Yeah, but by then, each child could have identified what the passion is. If I want to go sciences, I'd have searched for exams. If I want the social sciences, this is what I'm going to pursue. If I want sports and leisure, this is what I want to do. So by the end of middle school, a child knows which pathway he wants to take.
I see. So I don't do biology, and I'm actually pursuing arts.
Art, yes.
And therefore my grades go lower because I'm forced by this system to do subjects that are not well.
Yeah.
So this is to sieve.
Yes.
I see. And prepare the child better
for future.
For the future.
Yes.
Now, Mwalimu, let me ask you, in terms of the teachers then, who are going to be pursuing that transition, you said that there is going to be training, but should there be even discussions as to when in time does that when do you branch off? Is it at Form 1? Is it at at what time do you decide you're going arts and not sciences?
Yeah, that's at the end of middle school, which is at the end of the first 3 years. You've gone from 6 years to the 3 years. At the end of these 3 years, that is middle school. Now, at that point, you can be able to branch off and decide.
And this is why I'm cornering you point blank on this.
Yeah.
The teacher will be a very important advisor, guide at that point. So because you can take the child the wrong way. So the assessment of the teacher in consultation with the parent.
Exactly.
That's what I wanted you to talk a bit about. Yes.
I can talk about what I do personally, and I can tell you that we start choosing subjects for the international education at grade 9 or year 9. And therefore, I have a whole term for me to start talking about careers to these students. I bring in professionals, call them engineers, doctors, come into school, talk to the students. By the time the end of term comes, this child has an idea of what he wants to become. And that will give him a chance to choose the subject of what he wants to pursue in future. And therefore, the mindset, you start developing this mind as early as possible. so that when the child chooses, doesn't make the wrong decision.
Oh, I see. So schools should not just churn out the academic.
No.
There needs to be the experience from the outside.
coming in and talking to the students.
Yes.
Involve the parents for the choice of, these parents who come, I'm a doctor, my child must be a doctor. Now, that thing is long gone. Let the students choose what they need to be, what they need to do. Two, the teacher has a very big influence because I understand this child in the classroom. I understand what the child can achieve, what passion the child has. As a teacher, therefore, I'm the one to assist in guiding. That's why I'm saying equip the teachers to understand their students more. And for them, they can be able to assist the students.
So let's talk about Muzazi, the parent. Yeah. Then what role does a parent have to ensure that they not only understand their child,
yes,
but they understand the teacher, they understand the school? What is the involvement?
I'm telling you, I've never seen this in Kenya, especially the public schools. But in private schools, I see more involvement of the parents. There must be partnership between the parent, the school, and the students. These three are very crucial. And therefore, this teacher, this parent must work together. And therefore, this business of waiting at the end of term, son, what is your grade? What do you get in school this term? You simply come and interact with the what? Interact with the report card. Interact with the teacher for you to understand why your child achieved what he was able to achieve at the end of term. So parents must be involved.
Is there a feeling sometimes that parents offload the children to the teachers?
Exactly, that I see it most of the time. They want to see the child at the end of term, they want to see the child at the end of the day, but I can tell you that more parents in Kenya at the moment, I'm getting more involved in the education of their kids. And therefore, that's what I can emphasize to the parents massively, that get involved, get to know how your child is progressing in school, not only in terms of academics, even in terms of behavior. The social aspect of the child growth is very important. Therefore, as a parent, you should be involved. So don't have to wait until the end of term. Come in the middle of term. Come in at the end of the week. Find out from the class teacher, how is my child progressing? Is there anything I should be concerned about? And therefore, through that, even the child can know that mom came, dad came to school, and you can be able to see change in them.
Well, you're watching Point Blank here at KTN News, shooting from the Nairobi Serena with Wallen Nyamota, the head teacher at Braeside, telling the government the rollout to the new system, good as it is, should prepare teachers, should prepare reading materials better, and he challenges parents to get more involved with teachers to help the child better in school. This is KTN News.